Good afternoon. I would like to call the meeting of the Assembly Committee on Revenue to order. Will the Secretary please call the roll?
Assembly members Considine, De Silva, Flanagan, Gallant, Goulding, Gray, Hafen, Wynn, O'Neill, Roth, Chair Backus.
And I am present. Please mark Assemblymember Wynn present when he arrives. If not, we have a short meeting, and so we would mark him absent excused. Since it's deadline day, we're all being pulled in different directions. So some of our members may have to leave, but we have a really short work session this afternoon. Just 3 bills on our agenda: Senate Bill 41, 69, and 196. Also, we will have public comment at the end of our meeting, and the telephone number that you dial in today is 888-475-4499, and when prompted to provide meeting ID, you hit 8700-108-6340 and then press the number sign. When prompted for participant ID, press the number sign and then listen to other prompts. We'll allow 2 minutes of public comment at the end of our meeting. With that, I will go ahead. Our first item on our work session is Senate Bill 41. I will turn it over to staff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the record, I am Michael Nakamoto with the Fiscal Analysis Division. The work session document is available for the members and the public in Nellis. The first bill is Senate Bill 41, which was heard in this committee on May 13th and which was sponsored by the Senate Committee on Revenue and Economic Development on behalf of the Department of Taxation. Senate Bill 41 in its first reprint requires that a cannabis tax permit be obtained from the Department of Taxation by any business wishing to engage in the sale of cannabis in Nevada. The new permit must be obtained by any licensee of the Cannabis Compliance Board engaged in the business of selling cannabis of any kind, in addition to any other permit required by law. There were no amendments that were prepared for or proposed for the bill. Thank you, and I will answer any questions if there are any. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Members, do we have any questions for staff regarding the work session documents for SB 41? Seeing no questions, I will entertain a motion to do pass Senate Bill 41. I have a first from Vice Chair Considine, a second from Assemblymember Wynn. Is there any discussion on the motion? I'll go to Assemblymember Gallant.
Thank you, Chair. I'm going to vote yes out of the committee, but reserve my right to vote no on the floor. Thanks.
Sounds good. With that, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. We have noes from Assembly members Hafen, Gray, and O'Neill. I didn't miss anyone, right? And with that, the motion passes. I will assign the floor statement to myself on that one. Okay. The next bill we have on our work session is Senate Bill 69. I will go ahead and turn it over to staff.
Thank you again, Madam Chair. For the record, Michael Nakamoto with the Fiscal Analysis Division. Senate Bill 69 was heard in this committee on May 6th, and it was sponsored by the Senate Committee on Revenue and Economic Development on behalf of Story County. Senate Bill 69 in its first reprint requires the lead participant in large-scale economic development projects that are located in an economic diversification district to enter into agreements with local governments to help cover the costs of public services and infrastructure if requested. The bill also expands certain confidentiality provisions for related communications and mandates local government acknowledgement of applications. There was an amendment that was submitted by the Governor's Office of Economic Development that would add new subsections to NRS 360.889 and 360.945 that would state that the municipality with land use planning authority over the physical location of the project will serve as the lead negotiator representing the governing body of any city, county, or fire protection district that requires an agreement pursuant to Section 1 of the bill. The amendment would also delete certain paragraphs from the definition of local government services and infrastructure in subsection 13 of Section 2 and subsection 11 of Section 6. I would note that the amendment that was submitted by the Office of Economic Development is attached to the work session document, and I would be glad to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. One item, we just had a question regarding clarifying some of the language in Section 2 of the bill. It says whichever, but it could, I'm not sure. Let me go to like Section 2 and take a look at that, I think, just to get some clarity. If it implies that it's whichever of the lesser amount, or just curious about that item. So let me take a look. One moment, please. Okay, so we'll go ahead. I'm not sure. I know there's been a lot of participants involved in the drafting of the amendment to Senate Bill 69. I'm not, oh, good, Go Wood is here. Mr. Wood, you probably ran over here. I appreciate you being here. If I can, on the amendment on page, and I'm even looking at the wrong one, page 5. Okay, on page 8, taking a look at page 8. The problem is the numbers are not 6, 7, and on page 8, which is not numbered on our work session documents, there is language utilizing, I do believe it's under a different section. I think, just so we're all on the same page, I do believe it's page 5, little o, and there's language used into the drafted bill that says, which do not exceed. Hold on one moment, please.
Madam Chair, if I can help provide some clarification. The language, this is Michael Nakamoto for the record, the language that you're looking at that is on both page 5 and page 8 is actually part of the bill. In its first reprint, it's not part of the amendment, and it is going into separate sections of the bill relating to both the the economic incentives for a capital of investment of at least $1 billion and $3.5 billion, so it's getting added twice. But because this is language that is part of the bill in its first reprint and not part of the amendment, we do have the people from Story County at the table who are probably the best ones to answer that question or the questions that you have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nakamoto. So we have both representatives from Story County as well as the Governor's Office of Economic Development, and looking that language is used. And so just for purposes of clarity, what is the intent behind utilization of which do not exceed? And then you have bullet sub Roman numeral capital I1 and capital like in 2 under there, if it's how that is to be determined.
Will Adler for the record, representing Story County in this context. For clarification, we just wanted to make it clear that which do not exceed also could be clarified as the lesser of the two choices, that it isn't applying both sub 1 and 2 after that. It is actually a selection of one or the other, or, to be selected the lesser of the two, because it could be applied, you're doing 10% and you're doing this defraying of costs, but as a selection of the lesser of the two choices. We just want to clarify that in this context because we were asked that question, but it wasn't clarified in any hearing prior to this. That is all.
Thank you so much, Mr. Adler. I notice it has an or and not an and, so I think that's pretty self-evident, unless Mr. Wood wants to add anything to that.
Stephen Wood for the record. No, I believe that is the intent. So, and Austin and I were just discussing this. So you would, if I could explain, you would have a company negotiating with the local jurisdiction, and whatever they reach in that negotiation for the GSA, it's just not to exceed 10%. So it could be any lesser amount.
Thank you, Chair. Austin Osborne, Story County Manager for the record. I just want to put on the record, I agree with what was said here. As a chief negotiator in the government services agreements for Story County in the past, that has always been what it is. The reality of the situation, not to exceed, in this case, a certain amount, and that being 10%.
And the final clarification for the record, Will Adler for the record, that it wasn't said orally in the summary, but this amendment was adopted from the Governor's Office of Economic Development, and both the 3.5 and 10 and $1 billion categories will both be at a cap of 10% for these GSAs. So thank you very much.
It does look, and I just want to clarify, because you have the other alternative, the amount necessary to defray. So you have the 10% versus the actual amount. And I take it would be whichever is lesser, not that you automatically get the 10%, especially when the cost to defray could be less than the 10%. And I think that was the whichever is lesser. And I think we had testimony on that during the hearing.
And I would say, Stephen Wood for the record from GOED, that is our intent. So if a change to our amendment is necessary, if LCB Legal feels that we need to capture that intent, that's acceptable to us.
Thank you so much, all. I think with that, members, do we have any other questions regarding the work session documents for Senate Bill 69? If not, oh, I'm sorry. Okay, with that, I will go ahead and entertain a motion to amend and do pass Senate Bill 69. I have a first from Assemblymember O'Neill and a second from Assemblymember Gray. Is there any discussion on the motion? I'll go to Assemblymember O'Neill.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to say thank you to the various members that have been involved in the negotiations on 69. I know it's been difficult, and I greatly appreciate the work that you've put in, the time that you've put in, and just thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much for that. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. We have one no from Assemblymember Gallant, and the motion carries. I'll assign the floor statement to Assemblymember O'Neill. You're welcome. Next, we have Senate Bill 196 in its first reprint, and I will turn that over to Mr. Nakamoto.
Thank you again, Madam Chair. Michael Nakamoto with the Fiscal Analysis Division for the record. Senate Bill 196 was heard in this committee on May 6th and was sponsored by Senator Cannizzaro. Senate Bill 196 in its first reprint allows heavy equipment rental companies to charge a recovery fee not to exceed 2% of the rental price of heavy equipment to offset personal property taxes levied on their heavy equipment. The bill also clarifies that the term rental charge does not include any other separately stated charges for recovery of the property taxes on the heavy equipment rental property. There were no amendments. I am glad to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for Mr. Nakamoto regarding Senate Bill 196? Seeing none, I will go ahead and entertain a motion to do pass Senate Bill 196.
So moved.
Okay, thank you. I have a first from Assembly Member Nguyen. I have a second from Assembly Member Gray. Is there any discussion on the motion?
I have just one thing.
Absolutely. We'll go to Assembly Member Flanagan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to say for the record that I will vote yes to get it out of committee, but I reserve my right to vote no on the floor. Thanks.
Thank you so much for that. Those in favor say, those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay.
Nay.
We have a no from Vice Chair Considine, and the motion carries, and I will assign the floor statement to Assembly Member Hafen. And with that, we would now like to open the meeting for public comment. Is there anyone in Carson City wishing to make public comment this afternoon? Seeing no one making their way up here, is there anyone in we don't have anyone in Las Vegas. AVH, do we have anyone on the phone lines wishing to make public comment this afternoon?
Chair, the public line is open and working, and there are no callers at this time.
Thank you. With that, our next meeting, just because it's not in the ordinary time, but it will be scheduled. We have a bill set for hearing on Thursday, next Thursday at 1:30 p.m. So I look forward to seeing everyone in a week.